Okay, dear viewers, thank you very much for joining us. You're watching OBN Horn of Africa. This is Talk to OBN Show, our weekly program. In this edition, we'll be talking about a very pressing issue, attack of Al-Shabab in Somali region of Ethiopia. And I joined by Sheikh Horsaid Noh from Minnesota. It's a great honor to have you, Sheikh Horsaid Noh, on this very critical time to talk about the attack of Al-Shabab in Somali region of Ethiopia, because it's a very pressing issue and I need you to reflect on it. Nice to meet you once again.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. How do you see the attack of Al-Shabab in Somali region of Ethiopia?
Well, thanks for the opportunity, first of all. Al-Shabab, to put this into perspective, and I want our wider audience to know this, so I have to address this in a little bit broader context. Al-Shabab, first and foremost, is a transnational movement that does not recognize any ethnicity, culture, or a border. So, and their aim or goal is to create a master narrative, to create an identity by bringing Ethiopia into their game. So the reason they have crossed the border and launched this attack to the Somali region in Ethiopia is A, to create that master narrative, and B, to show their followers or the world that they have a presence and a foothold in Ethiopia. So that is the reason they attacked the region.
Okay, what do you mean by transnational movements?
Well, Al-Shabaab doesn't recognize any border. They have launched an attack on Uganda, Djibouti, Kenya, and Somaliland. So when I say transnational movement, they are an offspring and a baby, if you will, of Al-Qaeda, which or an ISIS, you can say. And these are transnational movements. They don't recognize, regions or borders or cultures. They just want to attack all of their neighboring countries and justify their presence there. In other words, they want to put their so-called flag in Ethiopia.
Over the last weeks, Al-Shabaab tried to capture some province of Somali region of Ethiopia, but the Somali region Special Force and the National Defense Force of Ethiopia took a counter-offensive measure, and most of the Al-Shabaab militant and personalities destroyed by Ethiopian National Defense Force and the Somali Regional Special Force. How do you see this counter-offensive as well?
Well, yes, they attacked in Yed and Ato and Ferfer, all of these places. It's very interesting that to notice that Al-Shabaab was expecting the defense forces or the Leo police to engage with them. Rather, what they have encountered is, the entire region, the population, the communities, the traditional leaders, the faith leaders. I mean, all of the people in the region have met them with stiff resistance, and they were destroyed. Yes, there were casualties. Yes, there were, people who have died. There are people who would always write the history of the region with their blood, who would sacrifice and dedicate their life to the service of their people. We know that and we accept that. But what I can tell you for a fact, as someone who is privy to what happened there, because I've been contacting with the leaders, the traditional leaders, the faith leaders, our cousins, people back home, they were really destroyed. And this was an unforgettable lesson for these terrorist organizations. And still, the people are really so ready to meet with them and put a stiff resistance at any attack Al-Shabaab or Al-Qaeda or ISIS or any of these organizations attempt to do. Our people will never be intimidated by a terrorist organization who, arrogate the voice of Islam to themselves alone. As you know, Al-Shabaab believes that they alone are the true Muslims, and the rest of the Muslims are out of the fold of Islam. So we will never be intimidated by them, and they were destroyed. They were hundreds with a lot of armored trucks. But thank God they know that, and the entire world know what the regional forces, the new police and the security forces did to them. And I'm sure they had their lesson in the region.
Okay, this is not a very short while attack, and Al-Shabaab has been trying to penetrate Ethiopia and launch a terrorism act in Ethiopia for long period of time. Can we say that Al-Shabaab has succeeded in this round? And still, I mean, Al-Shabaab used to claim itself and still saying Islamist extremists and trying to brand itself in expanding itself in the Horn of Africa and erect its black flag in Ethiopia. Can we say that Al-Shabaab has succeeded in Ethiopia?
Well, we have to understand that, yes, they tried to intimidate the region. They tried to put their flag in the region. But if they failed to do that at a time when there were a lot of other resistant forces in the region, at the time when the region had no stability, at the time when they had every sort of opportunity to radicalize the people and enter the region, what makes you think and what makes them think that they can do that this time and succeed at a time when all of the warring functions, if you will, all of the organizations that were fighting against the TPLF are now part of the administration of the region. The ONLF is part of the administration of the region. I can say there is a wing of ONLF that's with the administration right now. The UWSLF forces who were fighting against the TPLF also are now in the region. The Liu police, the diaspora came back. I can say the true sons and the daughters of the region are there. So what makes them think that they can succeed now when people are enjoying the stability, where people are willing to sacrifice anything to keep that peace, to keep that sense of stability? They will never succeed. Will they continue to try? Yes, they will always continue to try, because we believe that there are other well-funded foreign entities that are financially supporting them. And I believe that the TPLF and Egypt are part of this. And I say that for a reason, because we know that Egypt believes that the dam had an impact of the flow of the river, and they think that now they're facing an existential threat. So they were always looking for an opportunity to foment a trouble. And TPLF has a record of destabilizing the region, a record of terrorizing the people. This is what we, the Somali people in Somali region of Ethiopia, believe. So they will always try, as long as they have these entities that will always support them financially and logistically. But what I can tell you is they will never intimidate the region, and the people are more than ready, more than ever.
Okay, a former Al-Shabaab member recently said, in quote unquote, the Islamist militant group's latest incursion into Ethiopia border is just an attempt of showing it can operate in Ethiopia as well as Somalia and Kenya. Do you agree?
See, no, I don't, because I think traditionally Ethiopia has always been a place where people coexisted. You don't have the grievances that you have in Republic of Somalia. There will always be grievances, and yes, there are certain legitimate grievances in Ethiopia, but the atmosphere that allowed Al-Shabaab or Al-Qaeda or ISIS to flourish and operate in Somalia does not exist in Ethiopia. See, what happened right now, if you look at the region, Al-Shabaab was not only defeated by the defense forces, but they were really defeated by the sense of the unity that they have seen in our people. The mothers of the region are fundraising as we speak. They've raised more than 200 million in the region. The traditional leaders are mobilizing the people. The faith leaders are, on all of their Friday sermons are talking about the importance of peace, the importance of coexistence and tolerance, and the dangers of, radicalism, the dangers of terrorism. So, in fact, I can say they gave us an opportunity where all of us can organize ourselves on a common platform, the traditional leaders, faith leaders, the administration, the mothers, the youth, all of us. So the atmosphere that allowed them to flourish in places like Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq does not exist in Ethiopia. That doesn't mean Ethiopia is not facing any challenge. Yes, Ethiopia is facing challenge, but I trust the good nature of the people in Ethiopia, that they will never allow, others to divide them, foment a trouble, and be the cause of the destruction of their country.
Al-Shabaab advanced to Ethiopia after age-long trial. It's not an overnight attempt. It's been doing its all effort to wage war and implementing terrorist act in Ethiopia, and finally succeeded recently. Can we say that it has its own reason why Al-Shabaab attacked Ethiopia this time? Why not during the TPLF time? Why not during time when Farmajo was on power? Can you substantiate this?
I think that's a good question. But if you look at the region now, it's entirely different than the time or the era of TPLF. There is, freedom of expression right now. There is, people are breathing right now. There is no subjugation, harassment on the people. While that has been welcomed by all of the sectors of the people, I am sure we can safely say that Al-Shabaab or other troublemakers kind of took advantage of this sense of stability. That's number one. And number two, I can say there are things that can enable these transnational terrorist organizations to sort of flourish. One of which is, when the level of unemployment is very high, and when the people are not educated, religion-wise, and even the secular knowledge, these can be factors that can sort of attract radicalization. When there's no a sense of belonging, or when religion is misused and used as a tool to mobilize the people. So I think these factors are there right now as we speak. I think everybody knows that the level of unemployment in Ethiopia is very high. Illiteracy, also the ethnic based tensions that exist in the country. I think all of these can sort of invite these terrorist organizations to attempt to enter in the region and foment a trouble, to radicalize the youth. This exists, and it's the responsibility of the administration locally and nationally to create jobs, to educate the youth, to make sure that the defense forces and the faith leaders are working hand in hand, are collaborating to defend the country. But Al-Shabaab and their ideology can never flourish, at least I can say safely, in the Somali region of Ethiopia, because the landscape would not allow them to survive.
Al-Shabaab claims itself as Islamist extremists, right? But as we know, majority of people in Somali and in Somalia as well, and in the Horn of Africa, we do have Muslim brothers and sisters, but never deceived by the movement of this Al-Shabaab. We do have Muslim brothers and sisters, but they never favor Al-Shabaab. Still, though the Al-Shabaab claims itself as Islamist extremist. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course I do. See, I want to say for record that if Islam was according to the definition of Al-Shabaab, I would never be, and I would never have been a Muslim today. Let me repeat that. If Islam was according to the interpretation of these terrorist organizations, which means if Islam was about blowing up yourself, killing people, if Islam was attacking just the neighboring countries and destroying people, property, and everything, if Islam was just to basically dishonor the teaching of Prophet Muhammad, our ancestors wouldn't have fallen in love with this religion. Islam is about love and compassion and tolerance, and to say that none has the right to be worshipped but God, and he sent many messengers, Jesus, Moses, Noah, Abraham, and we Muslims believe the last messengers of God. Islam is all about loving your neighbor, that which you love yourself, and I'm sure all of the Abrahamic traditions share this. Islam is the message received by Najashi, the Ethiopian king, when Prophet Muhammad sent some of the members of his community to Ethiopia. My point is, if Islam was according to the whims and the desires and the vested interests of Al-Shabaab, our people wouldn't have been Muslims today. The reason they are Muslims today is they understand the religion. They know it's about love and compassion and taking care of your neighbors and family members. And the other thing that I want to say, in Horn of Africa, most of the leading voices when it comes to the teaching of Islam came from Jijiga, came from Gode, came from Dagahbur, it came from Qabri Dahr and Warder, came from our region. Do your own research, Google the leading voices when it comes to the scholarship of Islam, the well-known scholars of Islam, they came from our region. So who is Al-Shabaab or Al-Qaeda or ISIS to come to us today and tell us how to worship God, tell us how to search God? So our people really would never accept that. And this is what motivated all of us to speak against them, to take up arms against them. And I want to take this opportunity and say, we have been Muslims before all of you were born, and we will be Muslims, and we're part of a country that different faiths coexist. Muslims and Christians coexist. The non-Muslims, the Christians of Ethiopia are our teachers, those who teach my kids at school, our cab drivers, our leaders, our friends. I even have many non-Muslim relatives. So what I'm saying is Islam always, encouraged coexistence and tolerance. And Al-Shabaab, their mission and their message is to dismantle the fabric of the society, to destroy the country, and we will never accept that.
The mobilizers of this Al-Shabaab militant group are anonymous. Who ingests the finance, as of your knowledge?
I really am not privy to where they get their finances or so, but I can safely say that, as I mentioned before, there are many foreign entities that support them financially and logistically. We also know that they collect taxes from the people. At least that's what they do in Somalia. They intimidate people, and Somalia now doesn't have a viable central government that protects the country or the people. We hope there will be a day, and I pray that there will be a day when the Somali government will be as strong as many other governments in the world, so that the people should not be intimidated by the likes of Al-Shabaab, these outcasts, outlaws, misfits, outrags, and forcefully rob their money. I think the reason they operate is they rob people, forcefully tax them, and just scare them. They use these scare tactics, and that's how they collect money. But we believe, and there is a well-established fact, that other foreign entities are supporting all of these transnational terrorist organizations.
Okay, what's expected from the people in the areas of where Al-Shabaab try to attack and capture, for example, in Somali region? What is expected from the people and other officials in collaboratively counter-offending Al-Shabaab militant group?
I think our people already made their position clear. I invite you to just check out the profile pictures on their social media. The youth in the diaspora and in the region, they have the pictures of these gallant warriors who have sacrificed their life to defend the people, the land, and our government from these terrorist organizations. They put their pictures on their social profile. Let me tell you something. It's the first time in the history of our region, and dare I say, in the region of the entire world, where sisters would come on a national TV and they will say, I want to marry that soldier who was defending me and my mother. So today, for the first time, we are seeing our daughters with their parents coming and sort of making a proposal to the soldiers, saying, I'm in love with that soldier. He's brave. He was writing my history, my people's history with his blood. I want to marry him. This is a message to Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Anyone who wants to transgress upon our rights. I was born in Addis Ababa. My father was killed during the Derg regime. We took this very serious. We were looking for security and self-determination. And today it's the first time, at least, we put our food on the right path. We want to protect that, and we will protect it with our blood, with our money, and with our force. This is my message to Al-Shabaab.
Finally, if you have anything to deliver, the floor is yours.
Well, I just want to say to everyone that the strength of Al-Shabaab is not at the battlefield. They run from the battlefield. Their strength is to blow up themselves and thereby terrorize the people. And number two, to sort of twist the narrative and frame it as the good versus the evil. In other words, they believe that they are the chosen one, the ones that are pleasing God, the ones that are representing our prophet, the ones that are going to heaven. And they frame the message as though the rest of the Muslims are those who will go to hellfire, those who are not chosen by God. We want to tell them that they are the evil ones. And more than 1400 years ago, our prophet, peace be upon him, warned against Al-Shabaab because they have a historical connection with a group of people known as Khawarij, those who got out of the fall of Islam. I also want to take this opportunity and say it's time all of us organize ourselves on a common platform and protect ourselves from any enemy.
Dear viewers, due to the interest of time, we would like to wrap up our today's edition here and see you next time with another edition. Bye-bye. Take care.